YouTube has decided to not share my videos with everyone who subscribes. Please follow me on social media to stay up to date. This new Lars Von Trier movie, The House That Jack Built, which apparently is causing people to walk out of the cinema because it's so utterly disgusting. We all know Lars Von Trier. We all know the movie. We all know Nymphomaniac, right? We all know the types of movies this guy makes where he showed actual penetration in a movie. It wasn't Willem Dafoe's penis, but from what I understand, it was relatively close. Like he was going for realism, so he wanted it to look like it and everything else. But it ultimately, this is art house type stuff here, guys, and you know what you're in for. Like you go see a Terrence Malick movie, you know what you're in for. 3 hours of just, really introspective filmmaking and making you question where you stand in your own set in life. Here, it's how can you be grossed out? This is going to do very well with horror aficionados, but I think that the average moviegoer is probably not going to walk into The House That Jack Built and go, yeah, that was pretty good. I'm expecting this movie will probably end up being like Aronofsky's Mother, but for the 2018 edition. Now, it says here that Lars Von Trier is no stranger to controversy when it comes to his work as a filmmaker, but he may have outdone himself with The House That Jack Built. Von Trier's latest recently premiered at Cannes and has caused more than 100 people to walk out of the theater before the movie was even finished. Variety's Ramin Situde called it one of the most unpleasant movie-going experiences of my life. That seemed to be the general feeling for many who witnessed the movie based on the reactions online and in the first wave of critical reviews. Now, I'll have to do an RT recap on this one because I'm pretty certain they're all negative. But at the same time, these are people who should know who the filmmaker is going into it, right? Like, you can't go to this film festival and be like, oh, I'm going to go see that plucky Lars Von Trier's movie. That's gonna do well. That's gonna make me feel good. That's gonna be an upbeat movie. You should know this. If you're there, if you've made it to there as a film journalist, as a film critic, you know what you're in for, right? I look forward to the day that they start inviting us YouTube pundits out that way, so we can tell you how we really feel without any corporate oversight, anything like that. But anyway, so the movie centers on a serial killer played by Matt Dillon. Yeah. You can already kind of see where this is going, who focuses on murdering women, but not exclusively. He also reportedly brutally murders some children. In the current Hollywood landscape, it's completely understandable that a movie featuring women being tortured and murdered by a man could cause many to be upset. Uma Thurman, who spoke out against Harvey Weinstein and has been a major voice in the hashtag #MeToo movement, is actually in the movie, but declined to attend the premiere at Cannes. Her absence was noted by those who did attend, and then, of course, they list the official synopsis, but we'll get to that here in a second. So Uma Thurman, who went out there and she's like, I'm angry, I'm angry. Which, of course, she has reasons to be, given what happened with Kill Bill Volume 2 and the car accident and all the other stuff that came out after she said she was angry, is in a movie, that obviously features women being tortured and brutally attacked by a serial killer. There is a little bit of a little bit of irony in that, not in a way that one would argue is terrible, but at the same time, I have to kind of laugh at that. Now, here is the plot line of the film. USA in the 1970s. We follow the highly intelligent Jack through 5 incidents and are introduced to the murders that define Jack's development as a serial killer. We experience the story from Jack's point of view. He views each murder as an artwork in itself, even though his dysfunction gives him problems in the outside world. Despite the fact that the final and inevitable police intervention is drawing ever near, which both provokes and puts pressure on Jack, he is, contrary to all logic, set on taking greater and greater challenges or chances. The goal is the ultimate artwork, a collection of all of his killings manifested in the house that he builds. Along the way, we experience Jack's descriptions of his personal condition, problems, and thoughts through a recurring conversation with the unknown Verge, a grotesque mixture of sophistry mixed with an almost childlike self-pity and an in-depth explanations of, for Jack, dangerous and difficult maneuvers. So let's be realistic here. It's Fight Club for serial killers. I am Jack's disembodied voice. I am Jack's this. I am Jack's Verge. I am Jack's subconscious. I am the house that Jack built. Am I the only one pulling serious Fight Club vibes off this one? Anyway, Now it says here, while almost anyone in the who's seen the movie admits it's vile and horribly gruesome, that has won over a few horror fans and has others online actually excited to see it. Like I said, there will be horror movie aficionados that are going to be basically nutting themselves over this. But the majority of reactions appear to be veering strongly negative. Yeah, it's con. This is like the pretentious part of Hollywood. This only speaks to them sometimes. Had this movie come out 2 years ago, it maybe would have had a different reaction. But no, this is kind of how they are. Now, one Twitter promoter used it: gross, pretentious, vomitive, torturous, pathetic. Some have also said the house that Jack built is already destined for cult status, given the conversation surrounding it. That has remained to be seen, but it's clear that this is easily going to be one of the most controversial movies of 2018. And it goes on to talk about how Lars Von Trier is banned from Cannes itself for making jokes about Adolf Hitler. Because, you can never joke about Hitler, as we will talk about here in a few minutes. But yeah. So again, these are people who should know better in regards to the industry. They should know better in regards to who is going to be at these events, who is going to be premiering films, and they all have plot synopsises. They've all got, a bunch of information on it. So I really think that the people that freaked out, the 100 people that walked out, are probably people that would just do so because it would probably generate controversy if they did. It would generate a victim narrative for them if they did. And that could just be me, in some cases, projecting, because I've seen this kind of crap happen before on many different political sides, so on and so forth. But this is something you should know going in, right? You know it's going to be a violent film. You know that it's Lars Von Trier. You know what you're in for. And the people that are like, oh, I had no idea it was going to be vomitous and pretentious. Yeah, you sound like you are both vomitous and pretentious. And I don't really feel bad for you that your sensibilities were rocked by walking into a movie from this particular filmmaker. I'm just saying, you kind of know what you're in for. It'd be like going into a Quentin Tarantino movie and then being offended at the use of the N-word. It's in pretty much most of the movies. So you kind of know it's going to be there, right? Like, it's just one of those things where you do your homework. Don't be offended for the sake of being offended, but do your homework first. And then if you still are, okay, I'll cut you a little bit of slack. But if you're not, or if you haven't, then you get really nothing from me on that one.